Tonight I'll be talking to Zach DesJardins from Quality HVACR on YouTube. Many of you are familiar with his channel, and many of you watch his channel religiously like so many others. Zach has over 60,000 subscribers on YouTube and makes HVAC videos on everything from service calls to installations. Zach takes time to explain what he's doing and describe the life of an HVAC tech. He shows the right way to do things, doesn't cut corners, and is humble while doing so. Zach is always willing to share tips and tricks of HVAC businessmen with other people upcoming in the trade so that they don't make the same mistakes he has. I believe this is the third time I've talked to Zach, and it's always a pleasure talking to him. I always learn something, and I always enjoy the conversation, and I think you guys will too. My name is Zach Ciota, and you are watching the HVAC Fake News. After complaints about lack of qualifications, including some units being installed upside down, sideways, and on the wrong property, paint dealers are now being required to undergo further testing before they become paint dealers. The first test they'll have to undergo is to identify which of the following are air conditioners and which of the following are dragons. Secondly, they will have to go to speaking coaches in order to learn how to properly say the phrase, "It's basically a carrier." Goodman is now celebrating that their dealers are leading the industry. Recently, they passed Nordyne as per capita per company having the highest amount of DWIs per company. After a long series of speculation attempts, technicians have now come to the conclusion that Broad Ocean motors are named Broad Ocean not because they come from overseas, but because the ocean is the only place you could fit all of the warranty return motors. In a recent interview, Ducks and Stuff magazine asked HVAC leaders what was the secret to success in the HVAC industry. The HVAC leaders responded, "Getting fired by North Park Innovations seems to be the quickest way to success." It turns out the new refrigerants on the market that are supposedly environmentally friendly will be environmentally friendly in more than one way. Not only will they have a lower carbon footprint in GWP, but they will actually have a twofold effect. Most of these refrigerants, highly flammable, will be exploding, destroying many of the technicians out there, decreasing the total amount of human population, thus decreasing the amount of possibility of a higher carbon footprint. So in a Thanos sort of way, new refrigerants are twofold, ensuring that we have a happy, healthy planet, albeit with graveyards full of technicians. This has been the HVAC News. I'm Zach Ciota. Enjoy the show. Hello, hey there, and welcome back to HVAC Shop Talk. I'm Zach Ciota, the guy who just did that awesome news segment that you watched, and guess what? I enjoyed it very much as well as you guys did. The North Park thing, that's just fun. I mean, that's what happened. I mean, it's just kind of fun. And if you can't have fun in this life, I don't know what the point of life is. So you got to have fun with everything, and that's what I was doing right there. Jokes are funny because they're true. That's the point of them. Every time a joke is true, and know who taught me that? I've watched a lot of Dave Chappelle. So Dave Chappelle taught me that over all these years. It's like, hey man, he's right. Let's say hello to our chatter people here tonight. Chatter people, okay. The YouTube box is telling me it's a great time to insert an ad. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's correct. YouTube box on the screen. Man, Nathaniel missed the fake news. It was really funny, Nathaniel. You really missed it. That's too bad. What's up, Jessica? Nathaniel JPM Barrett. I think it's JPM. There's our buddy HVAC Tactical. We were just talking about you, man. That is Zach's fashion designer. HVAC Tactical. T-Lec, Thomas, our buddy Greg. We got Joe Shearer, who really appreciated that North Park burn. It wasn't a bird. It's just a historical funny, if you will. Takes a historical incident, and it's not the first time either. I think I've made a video about that before in the past, too. There's some sad music playing. They were all hanging out together dressed as pirates. It was pretty good. By they, I mean, I can't remember the guy's name now. I can't remember the guy's name. Bill Northrup, maybe? Bill Northrup, Jim Bergman, and then the third guy who works on the app, and I cannot remember his name, but he's a good guy. He still works with them, I think. I just don't remember. I'm sorry. Tin Man's with us, and we have Adam Haichi. He's a Japanese person, I think. Mark Cotter. We have Christian Martinez. It's good to be Christian. That's a good thing to do. And Rambro. Rambro, I got one of your comments on a slide here. Rambro, you came to the right show. Hopefully we get to your comment on the slide. Fernando Fernandez. That's kind of funny. That's almost like a fake name or something, except I don't know what name you're going for. Morgan, 1980, one something other. Welcome to the show. Mel, welcome to the show. Guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. I really appreciate it. We got Zach DesJardins with us. He'll be here in just a second. And that's quality HVACR, you guys. And you know who he is. He's the guy who edits better than the other people on YouTube, and including the people that are professional bloggers. I see professional bloggers, and I see Zach come in and edit, and he's going into his trailer to get like a pair of snips, and it's like Steven Spielberg is doing it or something like that. It makes going to get your snips exciting. It's the same school of HVAC videos as my friend AK participated in, the kind where you can change a filter and make it look awesome, and that's what he does. Dizzy Dallas is here. We have Performance HVACR. Kyle Kelly. Guys, thank you for joining us here tonight. Hopefully you have a great time. You will, if you open your mind and relax and enjoy yourself. I think that's what you should do. So, really quick here, I'm going to hit something and we'll talk a little bit more about some of this other stuff after Zach is done here tonight. But I wanted to mention this. I think it is, let's see, it's Acme. I'm trying to remember these things, guys. Whenever you go on the internet and you see a good deal, I'm going to try to share them with you, because I feel like that is a service I can do as your friend HVAC Shop Talk. So Acme, Irwin Hand Tools, having a 20% off at Acme Tools. I'm not associated with Acme, but I just saw it because I get emails from like 50 different tool companies. And you just use the Irwin 20 code. I used a lot of Irwin Hand Tools. They were pretty good. They're kind of like, they're not quite budget. It's not like you're putting in like hyper tough tools. They're decent. And if you need some hand tools, channel locks, things like that. I shouldn't call them channel locks. That's like the trade name. That's wrong. But like slip joint pliers or something, pump pliers, whatever you want to call them, whatever they really are. And then also they're having an Instagram giveaway I saw in that same email, and you could win, I love this, $102.97 worth of prizes. So that's really specific. I probably would have gone with over $100 in prizes. That probably would have been better. Joe, that would be an excellent name for this podcast later. Two Zach's, one stream. It may remind people of an unpleasant memory, those of us that are heathens. And what else was there? Oh, yeah. Direct Tools is having a thing, too, where if you use rigid batteries or Ryobi batteries, then you can save up to 45% off. They're having this big sale thing through Sunday. So if you have rigid or Ryobi, use at work. They also sell Oric, Hoover, and Dirt Devil. But, I mean, that probably doesn't apply to you. So if you use one of those two brands, you need some new batteries, you need a charger, it's a good time to pick one up. So there you go. Performance Groove Locks. That's what I'm talking about. Groove Lock pliers. That's what I meant. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I did get a text from somebody, and I actually researched a story that he texted me, and it was like a few weeks ago. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show, how Spain like outlawed air conditioning, so to speak. We'll talk about that. It's kind of funny. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to dive right into this stuff. I'm going to take the only sponsor break of this show, so just watch it and support the sponsor so I can continue with the success of my life here. I really appreciate that, guys, by the way. You know, use the Shop Talk discount code to save 8%. Or I don't remember what his discount code is, but you can use his too. He's on the show. Let's be nice. So here, we'll take a quick little break, and when I come back, Zach will be with me. So what is Company Cam all about? It's about real-time job site updates, live feeds from the site. It's about communication between you and your team via the app. It's about knowing exactly what's going on, what's been done, and what hasn't been done. It's about liability protection, documentation, and communication. Find out more at companycam.com. EWC Controls makes forced air zoning products that you can trust. And on the screen right here is the model URD. This is the backbone here. This is your air control damper. The sizes range from 4-inch models all the way up to 20-inch models, and the CFM ranges from 40 CFM all the way up to 2,500 CFM. Find out more about URD dampers and everything else EWC Controls offers at their website, ewccontrols.com. So why should you choose Jobber for your HVAC business? It's because your customers expect convenience. Many home service businesses are behind in meeting customer expectations, especially in this new digital age. Jobber is about meeting those new customer expectations, going beyond what they expect, and winning them over for all time. Features such as Client Manager, scheduling, invoicing, the mobile app, online booking. There's so many different things that Jobber does that's important for your business.
Okay.
Find out more at getjobber.com/shop talk. All righty, so now I have yet another Zach with me, as if one weren't the quota. So, Zach DesJardins, Quality HVACR, welcome to the show.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm always good, man. I hope you are too. It's been a while, I think, since we talked, because I planned on doing this like a couple other times, and it just didn't work out on my end. So I'm glad to finally get you back in here, and I hope the business is booming.
Yeah, man. It has been a minute, that's for sure. And business is definitely booming, to say the least. It's been pretty crazy, actually, this year for me. A lot busier and a lot more work than I have ever experienced, probably to date. So it's been pretty good.
So I'm just going to go right after that then. You're talking about business. I know one of the things that I had watched that you put out was you're contemplating closing down your business, and now business is booming. Just as a refresher for those who might not have seen it and those who did watch it but a few months ago, why did you contemplate shutting your business down?
Yeah, so I mean, it didn't have anything to do with workload or anything like that. I think it was more just a little bit of burnout, and also not doing things the way I probably should have been doing them, and stepping away for a couple months really enlightened me and opened my eyes to seeing the way I should be doing it. And that's the way I'm doing it currently. And so far it's been working out. I'm enjoying it a whole lot more. I've hired an apprentice since then, so I'm not scrambling around all the time trying to find the proper help to do change outs or anything really. And then also learning to say no to customers, like, no, I can't do that job, or no, I'm not going to drive that far to go do that job. It's better if you find somebody local. Just things like that. I was trying to burn the candle on both ends, and it really was wearing me down. And, and also at the same time, I had this idea that I wanted to really take this content making to a whole nother level and do it full time. So, that was kind of itching in the back of my mind too. So anyway, having that break for a little while, it really opened my eyes to how I want to do things, and it's working out pretty good so far.
Now, I noticed you took a break. I don't know if it was really, I don't know if you classify it as a break from YouTube. It seemed like you were gone for a little bit, and then you came back. Is that coinciding with this period you're talking about? You were gone, and then you came back, and now it seems like you're making videos again on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah. At that point, I mean, it was just timing, really. I was transitioning into that new company, which I still plan on making videos, but then I got COVID. And that was really the main reason why I didn't make any videos or upload any videos for a while, just because, I was just I was more worried about taking care of myself and the family and health. So, and then once I started to feel good again, then I started rolling the videos out.
So you say you hired an apprentice, and I know from watching the videos that I did watch that that was a difficult thing for you, because in the video you said you're very proud of being self-reliant. And it's almost like you said, I think your words were, it was a badge of honor, although you put it in sort of a negative light. It's like it's a badge of honor, but you need to know when to delegate. How were you able to get yourself to the point where you could get an apprentice? Because I know that's something you were worried about, getting somebody full time and being able to handle, I guess, the financial strain and delegating something that you were more comfortable you doing.
Sure. Yeah. So, and what I've learned now, that a lot of that talk was really coming from fear. It wasn't because I couldn't, or I did, I was too macho and I wanted to do all the work myself or whatever the case was. It was really just fear, not knowing, hey, can I support this person? If I take them on, I want to make sure that, I keep them busy. They get a paycheck every week, no matter what, that sort of thing. And you just didn't know, right? The unknown, it can be scary at times. So now that I did it, I'm like, wow, I mean, this is nothing. Honestly, I should have done this years ago, and it's made my life so much easier just having that help every single day and not having to worry about scheduling jobs around finding help. And that was just a mess. So, yeah, I mean, looking back, I really feel like a lot of that was just coming from fear and not really knowing what was going to happen.
I really think, as someone who kind of understands where you're coming from, because I've been in a similar position, I think it probably is fear, and just fear of the unknown. Because at least if, and as bad as it sounds, at least if it's just you and you fail, you know why you failed. It's
Yeah,
because of something you did. But if you hire somebody, then you have the guilt, and then you have to take care of somebody else. And now, since you have an apprentice, let's go into that a little bit. How green is
sure.
this guy? And where did you find an apprentice? Is it at a trade school? Is it at a just, hey, it's my cousin's kid sort of thing, or what?
Close to the latter. He's actually my neighbor.
Yeah, it happens a lot.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so his name is Trevor, and he's 20 years old. He actually worked with me during the summers when he was in high school for I think 2 summers,
Oh,
and then he went to
okay.
college, and then he realized whatever he was going for, he didn't want to do that, and he wanted to be in the HVAC industry. So at that time was when I went over to working for that other company, and I got him hired on over there. So he actually stayed there for a while after I left until I decided, hey, why don't you come back and work with me full time? Um, so anyhow, that's how it all started. So he worked with me before in the past, and it was just more of just part time during the summers. And so yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's different, right? You're working with someone, because he does ride with me every day in the truck. He's not like, well, sometimes he'll ride in the van and go do certain jobs, but 90% of the time he's riding with me. And that's an adjustment in itself, right? I mean, when you're a
Yeah.
service tech, you're riding around by yourself all the time. It's quiet, just you and your thoughts, right? So it's definitely an adjustment, but man, it's very nice. I mean, it's very nice. I get to pick on them all the time, and it's just, it's fun.
Well, you get that natural upper hand from being the boss that you never have to let go of.
Yeah,
And he's your neighbor, and he's a kid, and it's just, that's fun. So this is a guy that you can trust. And I think it's funny that you got him at the other company, and then your first act is an expansion was poaching him.
yeah. Well, and I obviously let that him make that decision. I just said, "Are you happy over there?" Because obviously I was there. I knew what it was like. And there's somebody in the comments, not in the comments, but in the chat area now, that knows exactly what I'm talking about too. So I knew that environment was just not good for him, and I didn't want him there. But ultimately, it was his choice. So I just said, "Hey, if you want to come on over, there's a spot for you." So, and he made that choice.
Well, that's pretty cool. I'm glad you found somebody you can trust, because I feel like that's one of the hardest things that you can face is you have to get the first employee, and you have to, like you're saying, ride in the car. I mean, what kind of music does this guy want to listen to? And it's down to stuff like that. It's like, I know you're a big, I want to go get coffee guy. This guy's like, I don't drink coffee. It's like one of those things where you have to
Pretty much.
compromise on stuff, or else you feel bad, even though if you're a boss. I mean, you don't want to, it's like, we're eating at Hardee's today. So I don't like Hardee's.
That's exactly it, man. I've been trying to encourage him to speak his voice, because he is a guy that will kind of just go with the flow. He won't really tell you if he's hungry. He won't tell you if he needs to go to the bathroom or whatever the case is, right? So it's like, dude, no, like if you want something, let me know. I'll pull over. It's not a big deal, right? Because I bring my lunch, and I very rarely stop for stuff, because I bring plenty of water and that sort of thing. So, but anyway, we are making it fun to where like we created every Friday is a pizza Friday. So we don't bring our lunch, and we always try to find a new place to go to, because we both love pizza. So,
Nice.
Just stuff like that.
Well, that's pretty nice. I like that. I like you making an effort to kind of include him and make him feel included. How long
For
has he been
sure.
with you?
I think it's almost 5 months. I think in
Oh, wow.
April is when he started with me full time.
So
So,
now that you've gone to that next man, is there like another Zach in the back of your head going, we could probably do one more now?
100%.
Yeah.
And
Do you have like the bug for
conversation.
expansion? Do you have that
Oh
feeling now? It's
yeah.
like, oh, I can have 20 trucks in 2 days.
No,
Sort of.
not like that. But um, my goal for next year is to have um, an install crew. So 2 guys. Trevor will be the apprentice, the helper, and then I'll lead for that. And then I'm going to have 1 service tech as well. So that's the goal for next year.
So what's going to be your role in that scenario?
A lot of golf. And
Like, hey, that took me off guard. That's pretty good. Okay.
so I'm really trying to get to the point where I need to stop working in the company so I can start working on the company so it can grow. I'm just too busy right now, doing the day-to-day stuff, running service calls, installs, whatever. I really have the time to work on the company to grow it. So that's really the first step, is getting a couple of really good guys that I can trust and that are willing to work with me, and how crazy particular that I am, and and just go from there. But my role is going to be working on processes, efficiencies within the company, obviously going out and getting more work, contracts, things like that. So it's basically growing the company, and quality control, and things like that, instead of actually turning the wrenches all the time. I don't think that I'll stop turning wrenches, but maybe 20% of the time I'll be out there running calls or or helping do installs. So, but that's the goal. We'll see.
Well, I can see it now, Zach. 2 years from now, you're like helping on an install every week. And then 4 years from now, you're like, I don't even know where my tools are at. You'd be like, I'm going to go get in
Oh
the Chris
man.
Craft and head down the river or whatever. It's because I know, because you got all those pack outs. I know you're going to have nice stuff. So you're going to go
For
out
sure.
there and you're going to be dune buggying through stuff. I've seen the videos and stuff where you terrorized your wife running around the yard in a go-kart. You'll be doing that
Yeah.
stuff, which I thought was hilarious. And my wife would not have reacted as favorably as your wife did. She would have shoved me out of the thing. That
Yeah,
was
we
funny,
just
though.
rewatched that the other day. The family did. We were cracking up.
That was hilarious. I'd seen that twice because it just the screaming is like my wife would have like, later that night would have shot me in my sleep. I would have been killed. Yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
glad. So does your wife? How does she feel about all the business stuff? What's her role in this? Is it support? Does she take part in the business or what?
She doesn't necessarily take part anymore. She's doing her job now. She's a mother. She's a wife. So that's her focus. I still talk to her obviously about decisions and whatnot, and get her input on things, because she's smart when it comes to finances, and making the right decisions and things like that. So obviously we do talk everything over, because ultimately it is a family business. But she likes the idea of getting the help. She's seen me for so many years now working my tail off, doing everything by myself. So she understands that once we get the proper help in, that, you know, it's going to change my life. Now, we don't know which way it's going to change it, if it's going to make me have gray hair quicker or not. But, you know, she knows that in order to run this type of business, you can't do it all by yourself if you're wanting to get to a certain level. I mean, if you're wanting to keep it just chill, run a couple service calls a day and not do installs, you know, sure, you could do it by yourself and you could do it just fine. But that's not what I want. You know, for me, it's very important for me to build something that I can feel super proud of. And it's not necessarily like a monetary thing about how much money that I can make annually and that sort of thing, but it's more about being able to provide an environment where I can take in guys or gals and, you know, provide a really great workplace for them to where they can support their family, you know, and we can just build this community of, you know, just doing cool things, you know, doing some really nice jobs and just not having that toxic environment, you know, because I've done that. I've been in that for a long time working for other people, and I know what it's all about. So to me, that's what my drive, that's what my goal is to be able to provide, you know, an environment for people to come to work and just do really cool things and enjoy what they do at the same time. So.
Well, let me ask you. I see Adam in the chat has mentioned the word legacy, which sounds like what you're creating. You want to create a good legacy.
Yeah.
Now, because you sound like that's what you want to create, let me ask you this. Are you planning, or would you be hopeful that it would be a family thing? Like later on your son would do it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's any father's dream, right? To build something and their son wants to continue it as well. But I'm totally okay if it doesn't. You know, it's not really about that. I'm that type of person that doesn't really want to force my ideas and the way I live onto my children. You know, if one of my sons grows up or daughter decides they want to do it, fantastic. But if not, I'm totally okay with that too. So that's why it's not just about building a legacy for my family, but it's building one for others as well.
How old I can't remember how many kids you do have. Remind me if you don't mind, and their ages.
So currently I have 3, and I have 1 on the way. My wife's currently pregnant.
Oh, no kidding! Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So she is, I think she's 12 weeks. So we don't know what gender it is yet at this point. But my oldest is 10. Her name's Taylor, and the next one is Jax. He is 8. I believe he's turning 9 next month. And then my youngest Leo boy is he's 3. He'll be 4 next month as well. So,
man, what a full house! 4 kids, man.
No doubt. Which the
lot.
first 2, the oldest 2, they're from a previous marriage, so I don't have them full time. It's, you know, on and off every other week. So we do get a break as far as that goes. So currently we have 1 kid in the house right now, but yeah, when they're all here, it's definitely a full house.
Well, let me ask you, because you mentioned that. Now, the whole time you've been running your business, have you been married to your current wife?
No. I started my company in 2012, and I met my current wife in 2014. So.
Oh, so you're running a company, and she still married you, and you ran an HVAC company. She's a keeper.
You know what? And also, our first date, I picked her up in my service truck because that's all I had.
I like that.
And it was a truck with a utility bed on it, so it was full blown service.
I like that. I didn't know you were a redneck.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say a redneck. I'm just a hard worker. I'm a working man, so. You know.
A blue collar. I should say.
That's right.
Maybe I should say roughneck. What's that? That's what they call the oil platform guys. I think they call them roughnecks. If I remember the movie Armageddon correctly, I think that's what they call them. That's awesome though. That you showed up in a service truck. This lady's like, she wants a blue collar because it sounds like it's almost like an old fashioned dynamic. She enjoys being a mother at home. You enjoy going to work. She's like, I found the right guys here in a truck already.
So yeah, well, we got together and we're, dating for a couple of years, I guess. And then when we took that next step and we got engaged, she moved in. She actually started working with me. So, and we worked together for 3 years. It was her and I, and she was in the truck with me every day, doing everything that my apprentice does now, helped me on installs, crawling in attics and crawl spaces, the whole 9 yards. And she was fantastic, and we loved it. We both loved working together. We just do very well at that. So, and still to this day, we miss it.
Wow. I would never do that with my wife. I love my wife. I would never want her at work with me. And that's said in the most love possible, just to preserve our marriage. I would not want her to be there.
Yeah.
My mom and dad worked together, though. They were together for the first few years of his business, and she still worked with us when I started working back in 94. She was still working with him. So I was like, wow. I mean, it can be done, but that's a special kind of woman that can do that, too. That doesn't happen every day. So that's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, see, that's a very common thing to say, that the woman's the problem. But in this relationship, I would say that I was probably the problem. I was hard on her, and I, way more harder than I should have been, but I didn't treat her like, a female, quote unquote, that can't do certain things. I expected a lot of her. She was in that position and she was going to do it. And that's probably was a little rough on her, but she handled it well. So
that's pretty good. Hey, that's modern way of thinking right there. We don't have genders anymore. So I'm not going to pursue that topic. So everybody in the chat just went,
probably a good idea.
Oh, okay. No. That's it. That's it right there. I'll leave it on the fake news. But back to business. No, we're here to talk business anyway. This would be a great time for you to tell us about the new merch. That'd be a great segue. So why don't you tell us about the new merch?
Because that is something that my wife is really helping me with. So yeah, I've been throwing this idea around for a couple of years, really, of just creating my own clothing line, merch, whatever you want to call it. And so we're just getting it off the ground. It's it's new. We don't have everything out yet, but I'm the type of guy that doesn't want to wait until it's perfect to push it out. I want to just push it out and work on it as I go. So, or add things to it, I should say. So anyhow, the name is called Trade Grind, and it's really all about understanding like the grind, what it takes to be in the trades, and having that just that hustle mentality of getting up every day, and even though you're feeling sore from the day before, working 12 hours or whatever the case is, but you get up anyway and you go and you hustle and you grind day after day. So I really wanted some clothing to represent that. And so anyway, that's the name that we came up with, and that's kind of what we're all about. And right now, we're just using a simple like drop ship style company to where you can go on there and just order. We have a couple different t-shirts to choose from, some hoodies. There's some items for females as well, some tank tops. And we'll be adding more and more things, some stickers, but it's custom order. So when you go on there, you pick out what you want, the color, the sizing, and then it's going to take a couple weeks because they're going to actually, make it to order for you and then ship it directly. Now, that's more of a short term for us. It's not going to be long term. So ultimately, we're going to be getting everything and doing it in-house, having all the shirts. The hats are not in yet. I had to order like 200 of them, and they're going to be coming. It takes like 8 to 9 weeks to get all those in. So that's a little bit of a different story there. But yeah, I mean, we're just kind of shooting from the hip on this one and getting it out there and just seeing where it takes us. But yeah, if you guys want to check it out right now, the online store, you just go to Teespring, that's TEE spring.com. And then /trade grind, and that'll bring you to the store. You can check out whatever you want.
I'm going to try to write that down in the chat here. I think I spelled it correctly. Spelling's not my forte. Teespring.com /trade grind.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. And for those of you who are anti-chat and won't look at it for whatever reason, you can go into the description of the video, and there's a link to Zach's channel. And he has a post just recently about this, so you should be able to follow it there and find your stuff. So that's t-shirts, hoodies, Let's see. Hats coming soon, and stickers are here now.
Yeah, and some of the other things too, like koozies, and you know, we're just trying to figure it out. We wanted to keep things simple right now and just do some t-shirts and hoodie. Hoodie season is coming up soon, so really my intention was just getting some shirts, hoodies, and hats, and some stickers. Everybody loves stickers, so
Yeah, man. Stickers are great. I'll put some stickers up back here, man. Yeah, now you're thinking I got to get like a panel off a unit, put stickers on it behind me or something. Whatever
there you go.
we do, you know what I'm talking about. We got to put something behind us that's cool looking. So it's just how we are. We got to do it. I don't have pack outs, so I can't do that. You got all the pack outs. You bought them all. Zach bought all the pack outs. That's why he wants to own the business.
Or you can just show your kids bunk beds that's made out of gas pipe.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's pretty cool. Hey, did you make the bunk bed?
Yeah, I made it.
Well, then it's cool. Okay, that's cool. If it's IKEA, then no. But if it's you made it, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
No, that's
I made the
legit. There you go.
Hey, same skill level, right? Yeah.
That's right. I just didn't use Ryobi tools. That's all.
Oh man, I love that's my favorite part of the night right there. Didn't use Ryobi tools. So you had to do some heavy duty stuff. I see. Okay, all right.
That's right.
As I look out, I'm literally in like my whole thing is in my shop. And when I brought my desk and stuff down here, actually I got a free desk from this place that went out of business. I said I'll take it. Big dirty desk. I sat it right in the middle of my shop. And like last week, people who watched would notice that I had like tools in the background on pegboard and stuff. I was like, this crap's in the middle of my shop. I can't do work. I got 2 benches I got to walk in between now. So now I'm shoved up against the side. So I'm looking out. And the point of this was I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Ryobi tools from here. Wait,
great.
hold on. 8.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Whatever does the job.
Yeah, and that's the thing right there. That was something I was initially thinking I was going to talk to you about, but then I decided that I wouldn't, just because it wasn't a huge deal to talk about. But since we're mentioning it, I noticed that you seem to like Milwaukee. I think it is. I think Milwaukee is the brand, and
You think?
yeah. And I tell you what, and I've noticed it every single video where you have like a YouTube tech who's like a legit YouTube tech. He's always using M12 for like the service drill. I think that is an excellent choice. I mean, I've done the same thing.
Oh yeah.
So do you use the impact driver? Do you carry that with you, or do you carry the drill?
No. So my daily is just the M12. It's the surge version of their impact.
Oh yeah, quiet.
That thing is just, it's ridiculous. It's so nice.
That is nice. I wanted to get one of those things because I have the Ryobi equivalent of it, which is not the equivalent. I'm not even. Sure. I shouldn't even say that. It's like hydraulic style impact driver where it's quieter, but surge looks way better.
Yeah, I don't know why they just came out with the new version and it's not surge. I don't know if it's just naturally or quiet in a different way. Or I don't know. I'm not sure what it is.
I don't know. I didn't know there was a new one.
Yeah, they just dropped it. A new M12. It comes with a little what do they call it? The little hammer drill driver and the impact.
Oh yeah, it's nice stuff. I've owned both of those. They're fantastic. They're great. It's powerful and tiny and so light. Yeah, that thing is so light. The impact driver is great. I totally agree with that. I only used it for a little while, but I think anyone who uses that is tip top. And I know you use pack outs, and you have the only person that loves that stuff more than you that I can tell is Brent. And I don't know, it's got to be pretty close. But what made you, since we're talking about it, what made you choose pack out? Because pack out, they don't give those things away. So that's an investment to get all your stuff put into pack outs. What made you want to do that?
I just like the mobility of it, where you can change it up. You can move it around. You can say, well, I don't like the way this fits there. I can move this over there. Or I can take it off. I can, put it in the truck, throw it in the trailer, take it on the job. It all locks into place. It's just so versatile. And now, I mean, there's a company. Oh shoot! Of course, I can't remember it. But it's a guy making these shelves out of wood. What is it? Truck trailer, something. I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, he's making these wooden shelves that fit pack out. They fit other things too if you want them to make them. But the whole idea is that every pack out is on its own shelf. So the only thing about pack out that I don't like is that if you want to get, let's say, to that bottom box, you got to remove everything to be able to open it up. And I don't like that. As far as like your trailer or your truck setup goes, if you're on the job, it's not a big deal. But so anyway, every box has its own slide out. It can hold up to like 200 pounds. So it's locked in, right, on the, I forget what they call those cleats or whatever. So it's like the best of both worlds. You have everything locked in so they don't fall. You can pull the drawer out, open it up, get the tool you needed, slide it back in, and you're good. Or you can remove the whole box, take it onto the job. So that's kind of how I'm going to be transitioning the van, my trailer, all of that stuff, because I have a buddy of mine who has a huge box truck and he has walls full of that stuff. And it is amazing.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I guess to answer your question, versatility. That's really what, and they're strong. I mean, the durable boxes,
they seem really nice.
They're just, I love them.
So, I mean, you're not going to upgrade to the Ryobi Link system?
I don't think so. Not anytime soon. But I was.
Thanks for being real serious.
My daughter was asking for her playhouse to get some organization, so I thought of Ryobi.
That's fantastic. You got to put your weed whacker somewhere.
That's right. Well, that's Milwaukee too.
Yeah, I know that. Like right after Ryobi comes out with this thing, and by the way, I'll never buy it. When you can put a nail in the wall and hang something, it comes out with this thing, and then like Milwaukee comes out with it like a month later. So well, here's the better one. The better one's out now. It's like funny.
Yeah, but that's anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're all copying each other. Well, no, they have versions of the same thing, but they're not like copies. They're different.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Where can we go from here? Oh, yeah, I was going to do this. I know there's a few things we won't get to, but this is like a running thing that we've been talking about for like the last week or two here, and it is the price of run capacitors. And basically, I put up like this poll, and I wasn't specific with it. I come up with a second one that was more specific, but I said, is $400 too much for a residential dual run cap replacement? And there's guys, and they justifiably would say, what were the conditions there? So my question to you, have you ever charged that much for a dual run cap in any situation?
No, not even close.
What would it cost for you? Well, I don't like to do that. Never mind. We won't do what would it cost for you.
No, it's fine. I mean, I got nothing to hide. I mean, it's not like I have the best answers and I'm right and everybody's wrong. But I mean, a lot of your pricing obviously is subject to a lot of things internally, not what you're doing out in the field, right? Like how much overhead do you have as a company? What kind of net profits you're going to be, you're reaching for, things like that. I mean, it's not, obviously we know the cost of the part. It's not very much at all. And so, but yeah, I mean, I guess when would it ever be relative to what you're doing? I mean, if you should be checking the system out completely, regardless if it's just a capacitor or if you're replacing a motor with it or whatever the case is. But, I typically use the AMRAD capacitors, whether it's going to be the turbo 200s, if I don't have the correct size, or now I get their standard, and you get it in the size that you need, because all of those come with a 5-year warranty. So to me, that provides a whole lot more value. But I mean, I'm charging like $225 for a capacitor.
So roughly half of that. It's funny to hear the answers to this because there was like a wide variety. You probably had like, if I have to guess, 60 to 65% of guys going like, "Well, that's way too high," and then there's several guys just like, "I do more than that." I was like, I don't know where that's at, but I know there's parts of the country where stuff costs way more than it does here. So I don't want to rush to judgment on that, but it's just interesting to see the different opinions on the same number. So that was kind of interesting, and I was just kind of curious because what's your general service area location?
Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee, because you go actually into the city periodically, or you did. Do you still do
Nashville. That? Yeah, sometimes. Not as much anymore. That's what I was talking about earlier on, is saying no to certain things. But yeah, I mean, for certain customers, I stick to my county most of the time. But yeah, I still kind of go out here and there for certain jobs. But But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're talking to we're talking to the United States, right? I mean, it's so vast and so different all across. So even if the part is a few dollars more, but you know, are you going to charge the same amount if you're in Los Angeles compared to some, rural company or, city in freaking Georgia or Tennessee or whatever, right? Like, yeah, a lot of it has to do with just your market, I guess.
Yeah.
But and also, I've been learning too that some of these bigger companies, they're offering like warranties with their stuff. So it's like, hey, if
Yeah.
you want this capacitor, it's going to cost you, 225. But if you get this capacitor and it comes with, a 7-year warranty or whatever it is, and they're offering that in house. It's not necessarily through that capacitor manufacturer, and they just triple the price or whatever the case is. So, and a lot of technicians, they see that kind of stuff. I'm assuming they don't really maybe understand what's going on in the behind the scenes. At least that's my assumption when it comes to that kind of stuff.
That made me think about pricing program. Do you use a pricing program? Because it sounded like when you had that tier level and the warranty and stuff, it kind of
Yeah,
rings of a like a flat rate program. Do you use those?
I don't. No, I mean I don't do it that way, but it's I don't know. I probably don't do things quite as efficient or detailed or precise than I should, and these are some things I'm actually in the process of working on. But I don't know. It's tough, man. There's so many. You want to grow, so you want to be able to charge a certain amount, but then you also, you know, you can't be too crazy about it too, right? I mean, you need to take care of your customers and not try to, price gouge and stuff. So it's kind of tricky.
It is extremely tricky. And I actually got a comment, and I don't know if the guy's still here. We'll take a look at it. Rambro, I think was his name. And the comment was, and this was on the video I did with Ted last week. He said, I hear this a lot, but there's something to be said for setting your family up with success. He's referring to the fact that we were talking about regretting not spending time with family because of how much time you sunk into your business. He says, yes, they'll love you for showing up to soccer games, but they'll probably appreciate that safety net on a rainy day. I just feel like high earners carry more guilt than is justified. And it kind of goes along with what we're talking about, how like you're talking about, I don't want to gouge my customers. I had the same thoughts in my head all the time. I don't want to gouge these people. They trust me. They called me. But you almost put yourself in a position where you're undershooting your goal to make sure you sleep better at night instead of getting it where you should be. Now, is that a struggle you share, or have you found a way to get it to that spot it needs to be at?
No, not me personally. I mean, I feel like if you treat people well and you do it every day, I mean, you're gonna get work in abundance. I mean, that's just the way I view things. Obviously, I'm not saying go out there and make $40 off of a capacitor. You got to make money. You got to be able to pay the
Mm-hmm.
bills. But I mean, there's getting to a point where it's just being unrealistic, in my opinion. Um, Not every single job is just going to be a killing through the roof, profit job. So, um, but I don't know. It's all business plan, right? Everyone does it differently. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many ways to view it and to think about it, and ultimately, do what works best for you. You know what I mean? That's really what it's all about. I want to feel comfortable that I'm doing what I think is right. So I don't really care what the next person is doing.
That's probably the best way to be. I mean, just objectively looking at where you're at and coming up with a solution based on where you're at personally. That being said, have you pursued any training in this specifically in business? Like, do you seek out any? I don't know. Classes might be a little bit odd because we're adults. We don't typically go to classes. But
Yeah.
any reading material, any YouTube guys that you seek out business advice from? Have you found anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's more current actually than anything, just because I am wanting to take my business to another level. So I'm trying to figure out those details and how to do that properly. Because before, again, it was just me. So it was a lot easier. It's just simple. But to answer your question, yeah, I have local guys that have, they've gone from, one service tech to two, then had, 30, then went back down to 15. So they, things like that, where they've been all over the place and they've kind of found their sweet spot and what they like. And yeah, I go and I have coffee meetings with them and I talk to them and I pick their brain, see what worked for them, what didn't work for them. And I kind of just, obviously I'm not nowhere near done. You never are really, right? But what I try to do is I get all that information and I try to tailor it to what I think is going to work for me. So I actually had one this morning. So I'm going to be making some changes myself.
Oh man, I gotta ask, what are you going to change? All the other people want to change stuff too.
Yeah. So I guess in a nutshell, I've never been a big fan of like maintenance contracts and doing maintenances. I guess because it was just me, and I don't want to do maintenances. I don't have time for it. So, and I'm trying to figure out a way to do it that makes sense for the customer, but it also makes sense for me. And doing contracts to where they're actually set up with you. And because ultimately, man, if one day I do want to sell my company, that's how they look at your company, see what it's worth, is how many maintenance contracts do you have. That's a very, very important thing to have. And that, not just that, but ultimately what I'm learning is customers want it. I mean, they want those maintenance contracts because ultimately that's security for their equipment. They want to feel like it's being taken care of, and they're going to get, more longevity out of it, all of that, just like anything else, right? People buy things and they want to take care of them. So I've never really provided that service very well. And that's one thing I want to change.
When you looked at maintenance contracts before, did you not see any value in them? Or was it just something that you just didn't want to handle?
Correct. I did not think I could handle a bunch of maintenance calls, just being by myself. So now that I know that I want to take it to the next level and get some guys, so I'm like, well, that's probably one of the first things I'm going to start doing is start getting those maintenance contracts and getting everything set up. But, and one thing that I learned from talking to this guy is that I always had this idea that maintenances need to be done in the spring or in the fall. And that was it. And I'm like, well, how do you, if you're a smaller company, how do you fit all of those maintenances in there and then service calls and installs and all that? He's like, no. He's like, you can do them throughout the year, right? You can plan out and decide, okay, well, this month we have, 30 tune-ups to do, and you fit them into your schedule throughout that month. And then basically the way that we were talking about doing it is you are actually charging the customer monthly for that service. So for an easy example, let's say they got one unit, it's $120 a year. You're charging them $10 a month, right? It debits their account every single month. So and then let's say you add, 1,000 or a couple hundred customers at that point, you're getting revenue every single month, not just in the spring or just in the fall. And it does help with the workload throughout the year. So to me, that sounds fantastic.
Cash flow solution, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, not just being bombarded with hundreds of maintenance calls to do when, you got service calls and other things to do as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things I don't know. I didn't like performing maintenance per se.
Yeah.
I don't like cleaning coils. I just don't like it. My coil needs to be clean. I haven't cleaned it in 2 years. I mean, it looks pretty bad. I mean, I'm glad y'all can't see it right now.
But I'm with you on that. I never really enjoyed it, but I'm trying to change my perspective on that because ultimately performing a maintenance, if you're doing a proper maintenance, is very important. Just like on any machine, right? If you want it to last, you need to keep it clean and you need to be checking things that typically fail sooner than others, right? So you can, obviously capacitors, right? So motors don't go bad. But if you can change your perspective on what type of service that you're providing to the customer, are you just going in there and lifting the lid, checking this, putting your hand over the fan? Yep, everything looks good, and you're leaving. Well, of course you're going to feel like shit about that because you're not really providing anything to the customer. But if you're actually going in there and thoroughly looking at everything, and, inspecting the coils, cleaning the blower wheels, and like really getting that machine back to or as close as possible to what it was like when it was installed, like you're truly doing something at that point. cable management, zipping up, with wire ties, making sure wires aren't touching and rubbing on copper, just little things like that. You can really start to change the way you feel about that particular service.
Now, my question would be then, in the future, someone else besides you is going to be doing that service. How do you impart that sort of work ethic to the guy who doesn't own the company that goes out there for you to do all those things?
Obviously, that's going to be hard to teach to someone else that's not their company to begin with, right? But that's part of my job, is to instill integrity and understanding what we're doing when we are in someone's home or when we're in someone's building. And it's not just a job. We're not just there just to fix an AC. There's way more to it than that. And at the end of the day, just like I described to you on why it's important to think about what we're doing, the service that we're providing, like that's what I'm going to be teaching. That's what I'm going to be teaching to the guys, or the guy who, whoever that I hire to do those things. And if they don't do it, then I'll find someone else, and I'll continue to work on it until I find the right person. But that kind of question really goes for everything, for a service call, for a warranty call, for an install, repairing flex duct. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You have to have the same intention to care about the service that you're providing, regardless of what you're doing.
I think you're right. I think it's hard to find people to do that particular job. I don't think it's difficult to find people who fix things, because for me, fixing things, it has, you go in there, it's a little bit of a workout for your brain. All right, what's going on? Electrical, almost all of them are electrical related in the field typically. I mean, a lot of them are electrical related. And then you solve something and you get a significant result. Something was not working. Now it is working. It's a 100% turnaround. On maintenance, It's like, all right, I cleaned the coil, but I mean, from what I can tell, most people don't know what the improvement is. They don't quantify what the improvement is. It's like, okay, well, it's clean now. It has to be better. I don't know. And we're leaving. Is that something that you do? I mean, when I ask people about maintenance, what does that mean? What are you doing? Is there something where you say, I know the value is there because I see, and then how do you see it?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's two ways of looking at this. One, is this the first time you've been out there as far as company wise? If it is the first time, then I can guarantee you that you're going to find problems with the way it was installed, the charge, airflow, and probably airflow. So that's the first time you're out there, right? So you're going to find things that you can tangibly fix and feel good about that. And then let's say it's your sixth time on that job. You've been there twice a year for 3 years, or whatever the case is. If you're that type of person that needs to have something that they can like hold on to and like, oh yeah, something changed, I feel good about it, I would encourage you to use like the Measure Quick app, because for me, when I see that little green checkered flag, it makes me feel good inside. So, going up to a system and checking it, or if you want to clean it first, whatever the case is, and then finishing off, and you walking away from that piece of equipment, knowing that, yep, this is running the best that it possibly can to my knowledge and my skill set. Like, that feels good, at least for me. I can't speak for everyone.
Now, man, you said Measure Quick. I knew you were going to be the right guy to answer the question, because that's something where you can actually tell. I mean, you could say, all right, I measured this, and then when I left, I measured this, and that's proof that there's value there. And I think that's important, because like me before, I would have been like, I don't see, if I charge somebody, let's say $250 to do this plan for the year, do I think that if I was never here, would actually they had to spend $250 to service this thing? I'm wondering, does it equal out, or are they actually ahead for what I do? And I think if you do it like you're saying, and you make the measurements and you're thorough, you do put them in a better spot. And for a long time, I didn't really believe that, and that's why I didn't want to do it, because I didn't believe it was going to improve anything.
Sure, and
or not enough.
Correct, and I fully understand that, and that's where I start thinking outside of the box. And it's like, well, again, we're not there just to work on the machine. We are there to really to have a relationship with that person, whether it's commercial situation or residential, whatever it is. So, it's been 6 months. Like, go in there, talk to them. Hey, how is it going? Everything smell good? Are the humidity levels? Does it feel good in here? Has everything been working all right? Any weird sounds? How's your dog doing? You know what I mean? Like, you can build these relationships up to where, it's not always just that tangible feeling of working on the machine itself. And again, just asking those questions, talking to the customer, because sometimes they may be like, what, I've been kind of feeling like this is not right, or I want to add this, or indoor air quality, thermostat, the list can go on, right? So just use that opportunity to just connect with that person and figure out what their needs are, because needs do change over time, right? So, or they can at least. So that's one thing you could kind of focus on as well.
Let's see. Since you mentioned that, I know you have to go, but program for running your business, invoicing, scheduling, all that stuff. What do you have in place? And if you don't have anything in place, what are you planning?
Yeah, so that is one thing. This meeting that I had this morning, I was talking to, was about that as well. So, because currently I don't have any CRM that I've been using, it's just me. So, but what I'm trying to do is gear up for next spring when I hire. So I want to have all of these processes in place before I get there, so I'm not just scrambling around. But so right now I'm currently just using QuickBooks Online. That's how I write up my invoices and estimates and send everything over, which absolutely sucks for day-to-day software. Just knowing what your history was for customers and all that kind of stuff. It's an accounting software. So, but I've just been dealing with it for years. I've been looking at a couple. I tried House Call Pro for probably about a month. I didn't really give it enough time for it to really sink in, so I can't really say much about it. A buddy of mine was telling me about Cool Front, which I think is now owned by like Field Edge, I think is what it is called.
So I believe you're right.
Yeah, so that obviously starts getting into more flat rate pricing, scheduling, maintenance contract, where you can like organize all of this stuff. So I'm not the right person to ask on like what to do, but I'm also the person asking on what should you do.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because you may not be the guy who teaches a class on Cool Front or what CRM to pick, but you're experiencing it in real time. So I'm more curious about what your thought process is and where you're at in the process. Not necessarily how good they are. I mean, just where you're at and what your concerns are and what you found out so far.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what I'm struggling with and why I know that I need a good CRM. Lately, for whatever reason, sending out estimates and invoices through QuickBooks, my customers haven't been receiving them in their normal inbox. It goes to their spam, and that is just getting super annoying. So, because the email doesn't come from my email, it comes from some random Intuit email. So that's frustrating. So I'm kind of wanting to get away from that. And then again, I said history of a customer. It's just not really designed for that. I would love to be able to go into the software and see, okay, the last time I was here, I did this. We have all these pictures that you can put in there, notes, blah, 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 and just more detail oriented when it comes to tracking your customers and what you've been doing out there. So, and then also the whole maintenance thing, that's going to be a big deal for me because I'm going to be really jumping on board with that. And I want maintenance contracts to be integrated in with everything. And because, we're going to be doing like, I don't know, the details on specials or discounts or whatever the case is. I don't know how all that's going to play out yet, but and then, also probably most importantly is whenever I do have employees that are out there running calls, they don't need to be calling me for, oh, what do I charge for this? We need to have all that set up.
Right.
It's on their iPad. It's seamless, because at the end of the day, these are some words that I heard this morning that I think are fantastic. At the end of the day, we need to be operating a business that is easy to work with. It's simple. It's seamless for the customer, right? So that's really what I'm, thinking about when we talk about all this stuff is how well is it going to work for the customer?
Yeah, for some reason, I mean, I've never been a flat rate person, but I mean, if you want to put something into place where your guys don't have to ponder what the cost is or be subject to people debating a cost, then you give them the book and they have to go directly from the book. I mean, it takes the decision out of their hands, which sort of takes that conflict of conscience out of their hands too, because this is what they have to do.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
I mean, I know a lot of people don't like flat rate pricing, but I mean, I think there's a way that you could probably find a happy balance between the two, right? Because I don't think every job, because I do understand that some jobs are going to be easier to get to, either like physically, right? You don't have to walk 2 miles across a roof to get to the unit or whatever, right? Or, so there are differences there. So why not tailor it to that? So if it's a straightforward, replacement on a certain part, why can't you have a flat rate for that? Because you know what the price is, you know what your labor rate is, you know what your overhead is, and you know what your profit margin, what you want it to be, right? So why not make a flat rate, make it seamless? And let's say we add on a little bit if it's super difficult to get to and it adds an extra 30 minutes to be able to access it or something like that. But I mean, I do understand too that when you're with bigger companies, you have technicians that are at different skill levels. So you're going to have someone that's like super good go in there and knock it out, and then they get charged the same amount as if someone was doing the opposite that took them 3 hours. So I see the struggle there, but that doesn't have anything to do with me. So I don't care about that. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, you're right. We had the final question's an easy one, and it is going to be from Jessica. Jessica says, Zach, are you going to the symposium, which is Brian Orr's thing?
Yeah, they do that every year around AHR, right? I've been there one time, and I remember meeting Jessica.
January this year.
Is it January this year?
It's a little bit earlier this year because evidently in Florida it's hot all the time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I want to. I actually wanted to go last year. It just, the whole thing with me being sick and all that kind of stuff. I didn't even get to go to AHR, but yeah, I'd love to. I love going to stuff like that.
Maybe you could do, most of the YouTubers, I'm just going to warn you, if you go down there, you're going to have to do like a whole speech and like a presentation or something.
Yeah. Well, when I went there, I was on the, what do they call that? Of course, I just totally lost train of thought. I was like on the board, if you will, where we were up there.
The panel.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we were talking about business ethics, I believe. But yeah, I was up there with Tersh. I was up there with his father up as well. I can't remember his name. But Brian's father. Anyway, yeah, that was cool.
That is pretty cool. I didn't, I think I almost now thinking back on it, I think I saw a picture of that because I remember Tersh. Tersh is awesome. I like Tersh. He's so personable and
he's a good
fun
dude
to be around. Oh yeah. I don't like going to big events, but if you guys want to come by my house, I'd be happy to have a barbecue. I live in the Wilmington area of North Carolina. Man, we can make some hamburgers and hot dogs. I mean, it'll be fun.
Dude, like, I think that, especially now with social media and everyone is getting to know each other, you look in these chats, you see the same people, right? People are hanging out a lot more virtually. Mm-hmm. Why not? Especially if you're in the same, demographic or, certain areas, why not get together and do certain things like that? I don't know. I was thinking like, I'm an outdoorsy person. So I think of outdoorsy stuff. Like, what if we did a cool place, went to a cool cabin somewhere and, grilled out and just made it a thing and, did not talk about HVAC at all.
I like that would happen. I mean, people be talking about it because that's like the common thread. It'd be like the conversation starter. Sure. But that's what you just described as outdoor university. So that's in Georgia, and people can go there. It's kind of funny. It does sound like that.
Are you talking about measuring with Jim?
Yeah, Jim's there. It's Andy Holt's thing down there where they train people, and it's almost like soft skills. But Jim is down there doing stuff too. So I mean, I guess it's not just soft skills. But I mean that sounds fun to me. We go hiking. We go down to the
Yeah.
lake or something like that. That sounds good to me. I don't like going to the places where there's a million people crammed in there, and I just don't get anything out of that. But I mean, like I said, if the Egan's and you want to come by and we'll have some hot dogs, that sounds good to me. We'll go hiking.
right.
I don't care. We walk my dog, so we'll be fine. But Zach, I know you got to go, man. You're heading out to hang out. It's Saturday night after all, and it's
That's
only
right.
9:16 there. So here's what you can do. If you want to, you can just click off of here and go about your business. Have a good night. I really appreciate it. Trade Grind is a new merch line, and that is, let me see, it's t-shirts, hoodies, stickers, and hats are coming soon. They're on order, but it'll be a few weeks before they get here. And the rest of the stuff is coming now. I know we were going to give away a t-shirt,
Yeah.
but we'll do, let's comment on the video, and then we'll arrange to get that information to you, and you can get out a shirt to whoever the winner of the comment selector is. We'll do that next week, probably next Saturday night, and
Okay.
just do it like that. Sound good to you?
Sure. Yeah. That works.
Cool. I'll throw in whatever I have too as far as my stuff. I don't have stuff, but I have like some stickers that I can find and put them in there. And I'll throw those in the package too. It's not going to be cool stuff, so don't be excited about what I'm sending you. Be excited about what he's sending you. It'll be two separate packages too, so twice as much fun. Zach,
There you go.
thank you so much. Quality HVACR is the YouTube channel. I don't need to say it because all of you already watch it. It doesn't matter. If Zach brought people over here, those are the new people. Y'all know who he is already. So thank you, Zach. I appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, man. Likewise. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. That's going to be Zach DesJardins right there. Quality HVACR, just a super guy. Always have fun talking to him. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit more. I got to take a break here for just a second. And I'm going to let you guys watch a video that I recorded. It's not as fun as the fake news, but it does a little bit about warranty information. It's more of a instruction. I don't know. That sounds awful. It's extremely fun. Never mind. I'll be right back after the break here. Enjoy the segment. If you guys are like me, then sorting through warranty information is a unrelenting pile of suck. So what I'm going to try to do periodically is not just with warranties, but HVAC manuals and all sorts of boring stuff. I'm going to try to break it down for you guys so you learn a little bit about what's in these manuals, warranties, instructions, maybe find out some things you didn't know about the equipment you even sell or work on every single day. But for the first episode here, we're going to take a look at 3 things in this Goodman warranty that you may not know. It should first be noted that although this is a Goodman warranty, Goodman puts out various warranties for various pieces of equipment, and depending on how it's installed and where it's installed, the warranty may vary. But in general, this particular item stays the same. What won't Goodman do to correct problems? And this is confused a lot, especially with homeowners. Goodman will not pay for labor, freight, or any other cost associated with the service, repair, or operation of the unit. I don't know about you guys, but I've had to pay freight on a lot of evaporator coils, condenser coils, and all sorts of other non-stock items because they were warranty. They don't necessarily charge you when you purchase these things, but if you're doing it under warranty, you will definitely be charged freight, and it can be rather expensive. I know I paid $100 and $200 to have something shipped so I can make a warranty repair. Secondly, electricity or fuel cost, or increases in electricity or fuel costs for any reason, including additional or unusual use of supplemental electric heat. It's very specific because when your heat pump dies, has a refrigerant leak, or some sort of similar issue where it can't do any primary heating through the refrigerant, those heat strips kick on, and sometimes a homeowner doesn't notice for quite a while. So you can rack up quite the electric bill, and Goodman is slowly sliding out of the way so they don't have to pay anything like that because, first of all, I don't know how you're going to tell how much of the electric bill went to the supplemental heat. And secondly, it could be a long time and a lot of money when the homeowner does not notice. Not their fault. And Goodman is obviously saying, not our fault either. Thirdly, lodging or transportation charges. So they're not going to pay you to go stay somewhere while you fix something or anything else. I've never done anything like that. That's more of a commercial thing, I think. But every now and then you'll have to go work on a multi-family dwelling and you'll have a group of guys or a crew stay in the motel or something like that. That's what I'm kind of imagining. I've never done anything like that, so that hasn't really come up for me. Last one's the big one. Last one is a confusing one, refrigerant. Homeowners always want to say, why are you charging for refrigerant? Because they do not give us any money for refrigerant. That's been the same ever since I can remember, and it's been confusing ever since then because, you know what, homeowners, refrigerant's part of their system. They don't think they should have to pay for it, and they got a point, but no one pays for refrigerant. At least no one that I know of. You guys can let me know if a company pays for refrigerant, but Goodman definitely does not. Here is another confusing section because so many times business owners even don't know when the warranty actually begins, and homeowners definitely don't know when the warranty actually begins. So this is that particular section which is going to come in real handy. Warranty coverage begins on the installation date. The installation date is one of the 3 dates depending on the circumstances. The first one, units installed in a newly constructed residence. The installation date is the date the owner purchases the residence from the builder, which is interesting because you might think it's at startup, but it's actually not. It's when the residence is purchased. So what happens if it's not purchased for a year? I guess you get a free year of warranty. I'm not quite sure what happens right there, because if it breaks within that year, I don't know what you do, because typically you put a name on the warranty form, and if you put a contractor's name and then go back later and put a homeowner's name after it's registered, I'm not sure how that works. That's never come up. Maybe you guys can tell me, but that seems like a hole in the logic here. Number 2, for units installed in existing residences, the installation date is the date the unit is originally installed. So that's an easy one. You do a change out, you install the unit, typically it's a day or two sort of deal. As soon as you start it up, we register for that date and you're good to go. That's pretty easy. Number 3, if the date the owner purchases the residence from the builder or the date of the unit is originally installed cannot be verified, so you don't know when it happened, the installation date is 3 months after the manufacture date. So what they're saying is if you can't figure out when it was installed, they're just going to give you an arbitrary day of 3 months after manufacture, and you can go by the serial number to figure out when the unit was manufactured. Here's some more circumstances where Goodman says, we ain't paying for it. What units does this warranty not cover? This warranty does not apply to, and remember guys, this changes from company to company, from system to system. Not all of Goodman's systems use the same exact warranty. So you do have to read up on your particular system, but these are sort of things that stood out and are, I won't say they're universal, but they're semi-universal across the board. This warranty does not apply to units that are ordered over the internet, by telephone, or by other electronic means unless the unit is installed by a dealer adhering to all applicable federal, state, and local codes, policies, and licensing requirements. So you can order a Goodman unit online and it will be warrantied, but you have to have proof that it was installed properly by a contractor, not your cousin, not your cousin's friend, not your dog. Units that are installed outside the United States, its territories, or Canada. So it's cool, you want to go up to Montreal and install a unit, that's fine. Guam, I guess that's fine. But watch out, Mexico, no units there. Units that are operated in incomplete structures. Yes, that is usually where we have the drywall dust phenomenon. If you start up a system before a house is finished, that can be a big issue because there's some circumstances, for example, the drywall dust, which is particularly tough for a unit to handle, and it can become clogged up and disgusting rather quickly. So definitely be careful when you're starting up a unit before a structure is finished because you could be liable for some of the issues. Units that are installed in buildings other than owner-occupied residences, such as non-residential buildings or residences not occupied by the owner. So there are certain warranties for like rental style properties, certain warranties for owner-occupied properties. So you have to make sure that whatever circumstance you're installing a unit, you attach the proper warranties to the install. You might have to do a little bit of reading because there was 3 or 4 different warranties in this particular booklet. So make sure you get the one for your situation. Okay, guys, I think one of the final things here for tonight is something I was going to do at the very beginning, but I never got to do it because, I was trying to be respectful to Zach because he had a place he had to go. So I just, I think, everybody understands now. Okay. So this is a news story, and let's just check it out. So I found this at Reason, which is like a libertarian website, I think. I'm pretty sure it's libertarian. I don't know. Spain bans AC below 80 degrees during record-setting summer heat. Now, this was about a month ago. So, this is not exactly last week, but I just found this actually a text was sent to me by one of our guys who were watching and mentioned this story, and I went back and looked at it, and I was like, this is pretty interesting that this is happening here. So, the stunt to save energy will do very little, but make people sweat. This is a story by Patrick Hines. Again, this is Reason. This is the name of the news service. And it says, amid its hottest summer in recent memory, Spain has banned air conditioning set below 80 degrees Fahrenheit in public places, including offices, transportation hubs, shops, bars, and restaurants. Similar mandates are trickling out across Europe as part of a voluntary agreement between countries in the European Union, also known as the EU, to reduce dependency on energy imports from Russia, and mitigate the chance of shortages this winter. These mandates will have little, if any, impact on detaching from Russia or preventing shortages. Instead, they serve as cover for energy policy blunders that long ago transferred massive geopolitical leverage to Russia and inflated energy costs. AC restrictions are a horrible idea for many reasons, but they make even less sense in Europe's tourism capital in August. Furthermore, the pandemic hit Spain's economy particularly hard because of its reliance on tourism, which accounts for 14.6% of total jobs. This was the first summer without health restrictions, and tourism has rebounded impressively despite the heat waves and inflation. Halting this recovery would be devastating to the country's hospitality workers, especially as inflation wreaks havoc on prices. Given that the restrictions are set through next summer, many vacationers will be looking elsewhere in 2023. It's funny because I've never heard of a story where they started doing this with air conditioning for energy purposes, but we hear about this in Europe, and we hear about California. Some of you guys are in California where they're having trouble with their energy grid. I know that Gavin Newsom had talked about, people may lose power during peak conditions, which is not a new thing. Brownouts is something that I've been familiar with. Summertime here, when it's extremely hot, you could have brownouts where you lose electricity just because the grid is tapped. But reaching a point where we have either so much stuff, I guess it's so much stuff. I know people will say the earth is hotter, but I think it's just the level of the grid that we're utilizing. It's interesting to see that we start seeing these things roll out like this, where they're telling you where to set your AC. I'm not telling you in particular, but in public places, they're telling people where to set their AC, and which is going to be, like I said, it's a domino effect. For someone who owns a business and they're telling them to set their restaurant up to 80, well, I'm going to eat at home because it's 68 at my house and it's 80 at your restaurant. So you can definitely understand why they would be concerned over that. And it's just an interesting story, and I want to thank, I don't remember who sent it, but I really appreciate that. And I'll check you guys' comments, because don't buy gas cars, don't charge electric cars. Yeah, that's exactly what they said. That's exactly right. I've been watching the same shows you've been watching, man. In California, they are urging people, and they're saying they're going to get rid of the, cars with internal combustion engines by, I don't know if it's 2030. You guys can tell me. But then they also recently said to not charge your electric cars because of the energy grid, which is telling me that California is in trouble. California is a beautiful place, I hear. I've never been there before, but all I hear about them is that they are in economic trouble, and it seems like every time, every series of every few years, it's the same thing out there, that it's the state's bankrupt and they're having problems, which is interesting for us because, people who work out there, and I know some of you guys are in California. It's 7:30 in California. Some of you guys are probably watching the show live right here. So you got to deal with this stuff out there. And I don't know, NorCal's out there. I know. There's several guys out there. It slips my mind right now. Greg Fox is in Sacramento. NorCal's in Santa Cruz. So there's guys out there who deal with the high gas prices and all this stuff. And maybe we need to get one of you guys on the air. I know I'll reach out to NorCal again, Greg Fox, and see if we can't talk a little bit about some specific. It's like a different country, I guess. Let's go back out to the comments there. It happened in here in Raleigh, North Carolina 2 weeks ago with Duke Energy. Fernando says he's in Los Angeles. And let's see, it could be thermostats weren't the source. That and the tires always cold in Walmart. Yeah, it is always cold. Dollar General normal set points are 76. 68 and 68. Okay, it's funny because I go back in the comments and I see Joe Shearer talking about my Bosch in there. It says it's 68 degrees because it's 68% humidity. That's correct, Joe. In our efforts to reach a comfortable zone in the house, we are plummeting to a very cold point. But still, the heat content's the same as anyone at 75. That's right. Kyle's right. HVACR videos. Chris is out there. I don't remember which town he's in, but he is in California. Nate Hicks says NorCal drives a shoebox. What's he going to tell you about gas prices? That's right. Yeah, he drives his motorcycle. He just did a video. I had sent him a text about a week ago about being on the show. And I was like, NorCal never texted me back. But then I realized he was on a run. And last time he was down in Mexico. He said he'd have to text me when he comes back. So I'll hit him up to come back on the show because we have a ton of fun when he comes on the show. Guys, I appreciate it. I don't think I had anything else on the agenda here. Let me check and make sure. Yeah, I was going to ask Zach a Bosch question, but, we kind of Bosch too much. So I try to dial the Bosch back a little bit. But we'll ask him next time he's on. That's Zach DesJardins again, guys. Quality Comfort, HVACR. He's a super guy every time he comes on here. If you guys have anybody you'd like to see, don't hesitate. You can let me know. I'll try to get them. I know people have requested everybody from Mikey Pipes to Steve Lav all the way to NorCal to Brian Orr. I'll invite them. Hey, all I can do is invite them. They may or may not say yes. Most of the time people say yes, but not all the time. So you may not see everybody, but I will try my best. If there's somebody you want me to talk to and something you want me to talk about, hey, reach out to me. Let me know. Jessica, it's good to see you too. I appreciate that. Performance HVACR, says Eric Melee. I've been on Hangouts with Eric. He's a trip. He's a lot of fun. I heard he's a Christian now, so a lot of his dark humor, I guess he's abandoned that, but we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, I'll invite Eric. That's fine. Eric's pretty cool. And I think, yeah, if we invite Eric, maybe we can say, like, hey, Eric, and then you tell Brian, and we'll just work our way through Kalos. We can go all the way down the line. And Nathan, get Nathan back on. Nathan Orr was on here. He won't be naked or in a bathtub or shirtless or anything on the show. So Joe Shearer says he's Eric's agent. I'm pretty sure, and Joe's in Florida, Kalos is in Florida. I'm pretty sure that Joe and Eric are like the same guy. He just puts on glasses, and then he's Eric. I'm pretty sure that's true. If you look at pictures, you see that they're the same. Jessica, you're absolutely right. Jessica's been on the show before, so has her husband, Craig. We have a lot of fun, too. In fact, we did both of them. Joe Shearer himself. That's right, Adam. Bring on Joe Shearer. Joe Shearer will be back. Joe Shearer. Curtis, absolutely. Tuna says no lav. Okay. Well, who do you want to see then? Curtis is great. Curtis Bowers. We have a hoot. And Curtis has a laugh like a spike. But it's like a happy spike, but it's like it's a good laugh, but it's like a machine gun. It's a machine gun laugh. I used to have a friend like that when I was growing up. That's how he laughed. Yep. Word of Advice TV. I don't think I've ever talked to that guy. I don't even know what his name is. Word of Advice TV, but I have seen he's very successful. He makes videos with like a zillion views on them and stuff. It's Chris HVACR videos. I've actually interviewed him a couple times. I don't think the overtime guys come on watch this show. So, I don't know. I can ask him. I asked Bill, and Bill was pretty fun. And HVAC guy, I don't know him either, but I've seen his videos. So HVAC guy, that's a good one right there. Chuck Pierce, he comes on the show periodically. Anyway, guys, you can email me all these. We don't have to do this on the air, but HVAC Shop Talk at gmail.com. Anybody you want me to talk to? Is there a subject you want to talk about? Is there something that you want to talk about? Hey, go ahead. Hey, Overtime mentioned me last night. All right. I hope it was a positive thing because I like those guys and I want them to like me too. Okay. I do like them, actually. I do like them. Like that Adam. Adam's a pretty smart guy, and he's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun. You could tell he's a lot of fun. He was in a band, so you know he's a lot of fun. Anyhow, guys, Zach seems like a pompous D-bag. Is that me? I seem like a pompous D-bag? Because that's true. I am. I'm above you. In particular, you. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. This is me looking angrily at the chat. Because I don't think you were talking about me. But that's not nice. Troll alert. Oh, is there a troll? Because I have troll music. Hey, here we go. I've been waiting for this moment. I don't care if it even applies. It doesn't matter if it applies because I have this stuff and I hope I get to use it. All right. Who would like to hear the special troll music? Here's my special troll music. And hey, man, don't take it personally because I just wanted to use this music. Okay? And I see you with the Tatty Digest. I've seen him around YouTube too. I don't know him like personally, but yeah, we can do it. All right, here's the troll music. And you know what? This is how we're going to end the show. This is the troll music, and I'm out of here, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Trolls everywhere. Give your opinion like we all care. This is wrong. This ain't right. Tell you what, just get a life.
Hey, I know your mom does your laundry.